Well, good day to you all. Once more, I welcome you to the Quintilian Institute of Words About Words, where we pursue knowledge and reject ignorance, where we embrace delight and eschew austerity. It is, as always, a pleasure to host you. As you know, the Institute is ever engaged in the work of rediscovering words about words, and our tireless teams of indefatigable investigators are regularly uncovering new words about words for us to share with you. Today, of course, is no exception, and it is my incomparable joy to share with you the latest treasure, the word antithesis, which, of course, is the central argument of your political rivals. I'm sorry, that's not it at all, but I couldn't resist a little rhetorical humor. And as I can see you already know, like rhetorical questions, rhetorical humor calls for no laughter. Truly, your restraint is admirable. No, antithesis does not describe something that is opposed to your thesis. Rather, it describes the balanced contrast of opposites, usually by leveraging parallelism. About a year ago, the Institute published its findings on parallelism, and I could not recommend more highly that you review it. But as a brief review, I'll remind you that parallelism involves writing with consistent structure across words, phrases, or clauses. So, a sentence like, "The Quintilian Institute is noble, prestigious, and admirable," includes a series of 3 adjectives and a great deal of truth. Whereas a sentence like, "The Quintilian Institute is dismal, dismaying, and a total joke," is both objectively false and a breach of parallel structure, because that third term is not an adjective, but a noun phrase, something with a different grammatical structure. And while it is possible to contrast opposites without parallel structure, like in this sentence, "Ice cream is wonderful. I'm not particularly fond of sherbet," the contrast is reinforced and emphasized where parallelism is applied. Ice cream rules, sherbet drools. Here we have the same opposites expressed now in successive chunks with the same structure. Because these 2 halves of the sentence are structured in the same way, the basis for the comparison is reflected both conceptually and grammatically. In other words, the similarity in structure clarifies the difference in meaning by reducing other, less important points of difference, perhaps in much the same way that it would be easier to find a word written in a particular font when it's in a line with other words, rather than in a disorganized jumble of all kinds of words. So the goal is to emphasize antithetical pairs by increasing grammatical similarity in order to underscore semantic difference. And you can see it in cases like these. "My love for our senior researchers matches my disdain for our former interns. I want to give you luxury, but I can only offer you reliability. Sun or storm, day or night, invited or unbidden, the Quintilian Institute will always deliver the finest rediscoveries." And as you can see, the parallel contrasts may exist in isolation or in groups, may involve larger grammatical units or smaller, and may involve praise for loyalty and rebukes of former quasi-employees. But that's beside the point. The key difference is to use balanced contrasting pairs. Antithesis often deals in opposites, but it doesn't have to. It can also work in terms of important differences, as, for example, when somebody makes a comparison to their political rival. In that case, one person is not technically speaking the opposite of another, but the differences may be significant enough to be read as opposites. Lucky for us, though, when antithesis plays out across full parallel clauses rather than just words or phrases, we're dealing with an instance of syncrisis, which is a more specialized form of antithesis. So where a sentence like this is generalized antithesis, "I sought competence and found only the interns," a pair of clauses like this is antithesis, but more specifically, syncrisis. The Institute stands for bold rediscoveries. The interns stand for rank betrayals. But of course, I hasten to add that these sentences are used merely for illustrative purposes, and any resemblance to alleged former Quintilian Institute interns, living or dead, is purely coincidental, and none of this should be taken as an official statement regarding any entity or person, fictional or otherwise. With that, though, I suppose it's time to bring our report to a close. As always, it's been an immeasurable joy. Truly, the Quintilian Institute would be worse off without your support. Thus, I invite you to like, to subscribe, and to comment with your own antitheses, and I encourage you never to pout, to subvert, or to whine about your own antipathies. Once more, thank you, and we shall surely meet again.